Thank you for joining us on Fem Talk 89 FM. I'm Sulueti talking to Merelesita Matadamudamu from the Naqai Women's Group, representing 23 women, and Julie Wanga Adivuvutaki from the Vunicuicui Multiracial Women's Group, representing 15 women. And today we'll be discussing human security and protection before, during, and after humanitarian emergencies. Throughout the consultation, a common issue we've been discussing has been food security and economic security. So, Merelesita, what are some of the changes you want to see to ensure that this protection need and this human security priority are met?
Speaking on food security, for example, I'll be talking from my own community. We are only given a small piece of land for planting. And in that small piece of land, both root crops and vegetables have to be planted. So I can say is that there's not enough space for the plants.
So what kind of changes you would want to see in your community?
Changes that I want to see in my community is if assistance can be provided. And I know that the department concerning for this issue is the agriculture department. If they can provide us with seedlings or manure to help us in the upgrading our food security.
So in terms of seedling, what kind of seedling would you want the Ministry of Agriculture to actually support you with?
Seedlings, for example, the short-term ones which they are supplying into other areas are the kumala or the sweet potatoes and the cabbage.
Why would you need this thing to be done in your community?
This needs to be done in community because I believe that we women, we are responsible for everything at home. As we have learned that we are the first respondents in our own individual family. In time of crisis, in time of emergencies, we are the ones who are out there to take the risk. And I believe that this needs to be changed because if nothing is being done about it, our daughters and generations that are to come, they will still face the same problem.
In terms of food security, you've talked about having, you have limited land. What does that mean? Does it mean for you to go far to fetch food, or what does it mean for you and a community?
Yes, limited land, like the ones that we have planted is not enough for, especially for those extended families. Women or the mothers of those families, they are the ones who go out looking for food, out in the sea, out in the bush, and that I can say it takes one day and it's time consuming. When they arrived back to every individual families, it's dark. So we know that the steps from there, our mother will be the one involved in doing everything.
Thank you, Merelesita. Julie, so what are some of the changes you want to see to ensure that this protection need, as you talk about economic security, are met?
Nakasulu, like assistance to be provided for market vendors who plant their own produce, like seedling of cabbage, kumala, bean, that I can sell in the market. Thank you.
So how can this be done?
By the Ministry of Agriculture, working together with the market vendor to provide seedling.
So why does this needs to be done, as you talked about yourself as a market vendor?
I'm a market vendor, and this is my source of income. It is how I take care of my family needs. And my farm been damaged, it's very difficult for me to come and sell in the market because I got nothing in my farm to come and sell it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're listening to Fem Talk 89 FM. I'm Sulueti Wanga, speaking to Merelesita Matadamudamu from Naqai Women's Club and Julie Wanga Adivuvutaki from the Vunicuicui Multiracial Women's Group. And we're talking about food security and economic security. So let's talk about the situation before and after Winston. For you in Naqai, what does it mean for you and your community? What was the situation like before Winston?
Situations before Winston, I can say that everything was all right. Everything was in place. Like talking on food security, as mothers or women, we were able to provide with our families with balanced meal, nutritious meal, and we were able to buy our crops and vegetables from the market because it was high in supply but low in the price. And to those, I believe, to those mothers who earn their living from the farm, they were able to earn more because they just bring their own produce and selling it in the market before Winston. They were able to earn more profit since the supply was good.
What was the food security situation like immediately after Winston?
Immediately after Winston, as we all know, that crops and major source of income was being destroyed, and providing the family with healthy and balanced, nutritious meal was out of sight in the table, I can see. And to those big or extended families, as we've heard from those areas who were badly affected, that there was not enough food to their families, and they were not eating a nutritious meal.
And now, 5 months on, what is the situation like at Naqai?
Situation in my community, 5 months on, food security is still the issue, because it's just 5 months and most of the crops and vegetables are not ready for harvest. And as you've heard from the previous days, that the rations provided by the government has been stopped. So we are moving on slowly but slowly. We have to bear with the price of groceries and crops and vegetables in the market.
Thank you. Julie, what was the situation like before Winston?
Naka, before Winston, I earned more than $60 a day when I come and sell in the market. My profit is more. I earn more in one day. Plus, I plant my own produce in my land. I just planted what I brought to the market. Thank you.
And immediately after Winston?
Thank you. After Winston, my vegetables, my root crops was all damaged. My income was affected, and also our food was affected. That I earn less profit a day. For me, it is an economic security. I buy from the farmers, which is very costly.
Thank you. You've talked about earning $60 a day before your vegetation and everything has been destroyed, but how much did you earn immediately after Winston? What are the income that you're earning from your product that you produce that you sell at the market?
Thank you, Sulu. Like I said, that I buy from the market again. In one day, sometimes it's $30, and I just buy whatever we needed from home. Sometimes when I reach home, only my bus fare back tomorrow. I got it. I left it with me. Thank you.
It's now it's 5 months on. So what's the situation like for you at the market?
Okay, we start to replant again, so we wait for another 5 months for harvest again and sell it in the market. I'm still buying at this time.
So we've talked about what women want to see. So how are women leading the responses in their communities to address food security issues?
By discussing all these issues in our clubs, first in our clubs every Thursdays before taking it to our village meeting on Tuesdays. And from there, our Turang Nikoro, I believe he will take up our issues to the district level and to those concerned departments.
What are some of the barriers to women in decision making or being consulted so that their solutions are taken into account?
Some of the barriers I believe women are facing is that most of us, we are not included in our community committee. And as women individually, I believe that some of us, we underestimate ourselves to the education level that we have reached.
And lastly, how can we support women and women initiative to make the changes that we want to see?
I believe that if we women are provided with training skills example, if you are provided with leadership training, I believe that this can help us if we can be included in every decision making from our community to the divisional level up to the national level.
Thank you. So, Julie, how are the women leading the responses in their communities to address the issue you've talked about, the issues in the market and the economic security issues?
Thank you. By talking, dialogue about it in the club, to the Mboseva Koro, and also in the district level, local level, and also our community, like 1325 meeting every monthly. Thank you.
So what are some of the barriers to women in decision making or being consulted of the issues?
Naqai, the big barrier to women is decision making. That some of the women are not educated and they are fear, unable to speak out their views.
Just lastly, how can we support women and women initiative to make the change that we want to see?
Thank you, Sulu. Involving and encouraging women to be part of the process, empowerment and capacity, building skill, training, education on values and rights to women and community. Thank you.
So thank you so much for talking to us on Fem Talk 89 FM. That was Merelesita Matadamudamu from the Naqai Women's Club and Julie Waqa Adivuvutaki from the Vunicuicui Multiracial Women's Group, and I'm Sulueti Waqa.